All right, welcome to my first Tiger Talk with Tyler. I think this is the third time I've had to redo this because it's got deleted. I wanted to post this morning, obviously, but I couldn't because everything got deleted somehow. So this is my first podcast. I plan on doing uh, a podcast on the midweek to like prepare for the team we're playing. So we're gonna play Southern. So I'll probably do a podcast talking about the Southern game. I think it'll be pretty short because I don't think there's much to worry about Southern. And then I'll do like I'm doing today, and I'll do a podcast talking about the game we played recently, the day before. So LSU loses 24-23 to FSU. Obviously disappointing game. I was there in New Orleans. I went to the game. Me and my friends left yesterday morning. We had a great time in New Orleans. There really is nothing like LSU football game in New Orleans. I mean, we had a good time. Uh, so you get in the dome. There's a lot. I saw a lot of FSU fans. I mean, there was just a freaking crowd of red everywhere. So a lot of FSU fans, good people. Um, it was crazy game. I have to admit. I mean, the stuff that went on during the game. It was a weird, crazy game. Bad first half. Really, really bad first half. As bad as the whole game was, um, as a whole, like as a football game, the first half was the worst part of the whole game. I mean, couldn't do anything on offense. Um, you had 42 passing yards in the first half alone, only 42. Um, in the first half, like 72 rushing yards, which isn't bad, but most of those were from Jaden Daniels having to scramble because the offensive line couldn't hold it up against Florida State's defensive line. So you have that. You lose off of a blocked PAT. Um and that just hit hard because you score with 1 second left. You score with 1 second left on the clock. You had to drive 99 yards downfield after after a dropped punt. Florida State get the ball, then they fumble it. Then you got a minute and 20 seconds to score, and I'll go over that. But you drive 9 yards outfield, then you lose the game because of a missed PAT, and that hit the hardest because there were so many points in the game where LSU fans left, and I and my friends stayed to the last second, and then that's just how it went down, and that's just sucked. I mean, a hard way to lose the football game. Um, so LSU the only SEC team to lose this week. I'm pretty sure every other SEC team won. I want to say. Hopefully, I'm not missing out. I don't think I am. I'll only go over the few that kind of impressed me or didn't impress me at all. Um, so Alabama obviously impressive. I mean, they did play Utah State, but they shut Utah State down 55-0. Georgia goes in to 11. Um, Georgia goes in, beats Oregon 49-3, 11 ranked Oregon. I mean, Oregon's never really been good, but still 49-3 on a ranked team is just impressive. I mean, Stetson Bennett looked impressive. He looks like a potential Heisman frontrunner. We'll see how he develops in throughout the season, but he has definitely improved from last season, looking a lot better. He really didn't do that much last year to impress me, but yesterday, the little bit of game I did watch, he impressed me, and I'm just gonna be truthful. He did impress me. Um, then you had a team like Texas A&M that didn't impress me. So you got people saying that Texas A&M is a potential national championship winner. Other people are saying Texas A&M not only a national championship winner, but they're going to go undefeated. I don't know if anyone else watched the Texas A&M game, but towards the end of the second quarter, I forget how they scored that last touchdown in the second quarter, but it was 10-0, and they scored that last touchdown. I can't remember if Sam Houston State turned over the ball. I can't remember, but so the first half of the game, most of the first half, it was 10-0. Texas A&M. I mean, which is not that impressive. You expect Texas A&M to be at least up on a team like Sam Houston, 28-0 in the first half, and it ended up being like 17-0 because they finally scored towards the end, and then I think they only beat them 31-0, which is still a lot. I mean, 31 points, but I was expecting a lot more from Texas A&M, and maybe they'll come back. Ooh, excuse me. Maybe they'll come back and prove me wrong, but didn't see a lot from them. Ole Miss, Arkansas won. I mean, they're all right. Nothing that really impressed me, and yeah. So all other SEC teams won besides LSU. Mason Smith, one of your key defensive players on your defensive line, gets hurt. He's out for the season, torn ACL. When I saw him on the field, when I saw him get up and start walking, obviously he had trainers helping him a little bit, but I didn't think it was that major because of how he walked off the field. But it's an ACL tear, and he'll be out for the rest of the season. So that happened pretty early on. So even that is crucial, losing him going into the rest of that game that's crucial. But then you lose Ali Gay. So this just, I'm sure there are people with different opinions. And maybe LSU fans that would tell me different too, but Ali Gay gets ejected for targeting. I didn't think it was targeting. The targeting rules just getting out of hand. And let me read you this article. I thought this was effing hilarious. LSU defensive end Ali Gay ejected for brutal targeting play. Brutal targeting play. And really, it was just so brutal, right? I mean, I just don't understand. I just can't understand the targeting rule sometimes. It just doesn't make sense to me because you have players who do lead with their head, lead with the crown, and just absolutely destroy and just rock other players in the head. Or they lead with the shoulder and they absolutely rock. But this play was so brutal that a second later, Jordan Travis hopped up and was perfectly fine. Didn't complain. No trainers had to come out. No one had to get him off the field. He was perfectly fine. But that play was just so brutal that Ali Gay had to get the hell off the field because he's just an awful, terrible person. I get the roughing the passer. I would have called roughing the passer. Yes. It's called targeting, and now he's out for the first half. I'm pretty sure he'll be out for the first half of the Southern game. It makes no sense to me. I mean, you don't really need him that much for the Southern game because it's Southern, but it'd still be good to have him. But still, just makes no sense to me. I mean, there needs to be levels to targeting. There really does. You can't just have when you barely hit someone with your head accidentally, and that's targeting, and then you also just slam your head into someone else's head, and that's targeting, and they go down as the same thing. That's just ridiculous to me. I think there should definitely be levels of targeting if you're going to call targeting at all. If Jordan Travis can pop up like he's fine, and and be okay. Is that really targeting? Is he really hurting? I mean, granted, yes, you shouldn't have to smash a player's helmet to be targeting. A player shouldn't have to be hurt for it to be targeting, but still, Jordan Travis was fine, and he played the game out fine. Um, but yeah, I mean, I just thought that was ridiculous. Um, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm stupid. Maybe I need to go back and look at that play again. But being in the Superdome and seeing that, I just thought it was ridiculous. So another huge crucial thing that killed us was time. Obviously, time in any aspect of life, not just football, is important, right? Time is money. Um, time in this game was points. Time was points. Um, I was looking at the jumbotron and it says everything. It says time of possession, FSU, LSU, right? At one point at the beginning of the third quarter, when I looked when the third quarter was about to start, 25 minutes FSU, 15 minutes LSU. They had the ball 10 more minutes than we have. They killed us with time of possession. They absolutely destroyed us. Um, they just did. And I mean, what can you really do? Uh, eh, at that point, but now you have to look and be like, okay, that's what we did wrong. We let them have the ball too much. We couldn't stop them on third down. That was another thing. They were 11 for 17 on third downs. We were 5 for 11. Uh, a terrible statistic to have only making 5 out of 11 third downs. But I mean, being it just 5 out of 11 just is not a good statistic, right? They were able to convert. So it's something that killed us. They wasted so much time running the ball. In the first half, we stopped the run game. I mean, we were able to stop the run game, even though they wasted time. We only held them to 7 points, and then you have that trick play that they had, which trick plays obviously are part of football. I've said it. I'll say it again. Trick plays are part of football. Um, but that's the only 7 points they had that whole half. Um, so you have that. Um, Jaden Daniels' offensive line did not look good the first half. It's not just the offensive line fault. Um, I love Jaden Daniels. I think he'll be a great quarterback, but he has to put blame on himself, and I'm sure he does. Um, for not being able to make those quick and easy throws, easy decisions. It took him till to saying, okay, you know what? We're about to lose this football game. It's towards the end of the third quarter. Maybe I should start making riskier throws and pushing that football out there so we can potentially win this football game. And he did. He put throws out there and he led 3 effective drives for touchdowns. And he looked good doing that. He looked good at that point. Like I was like, okay, look at what we're doing. We're at now that he feels a little bit of pressure. Um, to win the football game. He's throwing good passes. He's making it happen. No interceptions. He didn't have any interceptions. He didn't fumble the ball. Um, I think he took a couple sacks. Uh, but it happens. But I mean, you can't wait to the end of the third quarter or whatever, end of the second half to start making plays happen, especially with teams that are better than FSU because we're obviously going to play teams better than FSU and you can't do that or you're going to continue to lose football games. You could do it on a Southern or a New Mexico State, but you can't do that on SEC teams or you're going to lose football games. You have to play at the same level for every single quarter until that clock hits zero and at the end of the fourth quarter. And we just didn't do that. We let it wait too long. start getting that tempo going. But Jaden Daniels didn't look very good. As far as the end of the second half. Had 42 passing yards. 42 passing yards in the first half. Only 42. I mean, if you could probably go back years and years and you wouldn't be able to find um that low of passing yards for LSU quarterback for a while. I mean, I'm not saying Jane Daniels is terrible at any means. He's a good QB, but he's got to throw the ball to a receiver. I like seeing a quarterback that can run. Obviously, we haven't had it in a while. And some people are going to say, oh, well, we had Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, a good rusher he sat in the pocket and threw the ball, and that's what made him so good. He was shifty. He could move around in the pocket, like Jane Daniels, but he didn't do it as much. He threw the football, and that's what Jane Daniels needs to do. He needs to throw the football, and when he did do that, he looked good. It was frustrating seeing him run, especially when he didn't have to sometimes. That last play where it ended up being 1 second left he was about to run instead of throwing it to the tight end. He almost ran, and then we would have really lost. I had no chance. But he's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna dump it off to the tight end, and that's what almost tied the game. It didn't, but because we the extra point, but it was close. So he needs to make confident, good throws. Obviously, you don't want to throw the ball out there like it's nothing, like it's a Hail Mary, and hope for the best. You never want that, but you still want him to have a little pressure on him. It's like, okay, I can't run the ball each and every time, but when I can run the ball, I will run the ball, and I'll make defensive teams hurt because of it. And he will do that. I'm not saying he doesn't need to run the ball and use his legs, but I mean, come on, you can't run all the time. You have to make some throws, and he waited too long to do that. And maybe when they watched film today, he saw it. Looking back at it, he's like, okay, that's what I did wrong, right? I mean, obviously he did. You do wrong more than that. I mean, he did a couple things here and there, but that's my main problem right there. I need to focus on that. I need to get the ball out to my receiver. I need to target more of my receivers. You have Kayshon Boutte, you have Malik Neighbors, you have Thompson. I mean, you have Jack Besh, and Besh, another player I saw barely used. I'm like, what's up with that? Why are we barely using Besh? I mean, I don't know if there was something wrong with him, if he was hurt, or that's why they were barely using him. But he needs to target more of his receivers and let them make plays, because you're not going to always get away with running for 10 yards or whatever. You're not always going to have a 10-yard rush as a QB. Sometimes you're going to get sacked, and he did. Sometimes you're only going to get 1 or 2 yards, and he did. And 1 or 2 yards doesn't add up. And you're going to go 3 and out, and then you're going to punt the ball, right? So he needs to be comfortable with making more throws. The offensive line needs to do a better job of protecting him. That's their quarterback. Let him make throws. I think he needs to sit more back in the pocket and deliver. And that's my spill as far as Jaden Daniels goes in the offensive line. Defense, said this before, but they didn't do as bad as people said they did. Obviously you have stuff to work on as a defense, especially your defensive backs, and but people were very scared about this LSU defense. They really had no problem with the offense. I don't know if people remember, but going into this game, you're like, okay, LSU has established offense. can their defense hold up? That was the opposite. Uh, you saw their offense not being able to keep it in the game, and their defense was the one that was having to pick up the slack. Still had a lot of mistakes on defense. Towards the especially in the second half. The first half was pretty good. I didn't see much wrong with that. They let them drive on them a little bit. But the second half, you have to start short. You have to stop short passes and slants. That killed us. Short passing. I don't think FSU had one play where it was like a go route and they called it 1-on-1. I think it was the only play they had like that was that trick play to number 80. But that was like the only play like that. Everything else was short little slants. In routes, comeback routes, simple routes that just tore our defense apart, especially when we're playing in zone. And that is something you have to stop. You can't always guard for the long ball. You have to be ready for them to throw it short, and we weren't a lot of the time. And the option killed us a couple times. That is something we need to stop. So we end the game with 209 passing yards. So which a big part of this passing yards came from that long drive, the 99-yard. Excuse me, sorry. Looking at something. That you had that 99-yard drive that gave you a lot of passing yards. So that's 167 passing yards, which is still not enough as a college quarterback. Still not enough in my opinion for a college quarter. You need to be hitting at least 200. I don't want to say that. I'm going to retract that statement. 167 is good is if you do it in both halves. So, you get 167 yards one half, you get 160 yards in the next. That's 334 yards. All right, that's enough. So I kind of retract what I said. So 167 yards is good in one half, but you should be able to do that for both halves. So we got 167 yards to come back and to try to win, and obviously we didn't. Jaden Daniels had 3 very well established drives. He can throw the ball. He can throw it on point. I think there were only a couple passes that were like, okay, that was nowhere near the receiver, but good try. You had Butte drop a couple passes. One that was a touchdown. Hit him right in the number. Just wasn't ready for him. And then that ended up in a field goal. So that was at the beginning of the game when it was 3-0. So you had that. You had Malik Neighbors and Johnson with a couple targets. They did pretty well throughout the game. I think Besh finally towards the end had a few touches. You had a lot going on with the tight ends. But you need more than that. You need big plays. You can't just have short little passes. I mean, yeah, sometimes that can win you the game, but you need big plays, especially against big teams. It was kind of disappointing for me. It's especially we all got spoiled in 2019. Joe Burrow year. That man would make big, huge throws every single game, whether it was a 40, 30-yard throw to Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, etc. He was making it happen downfield. So you get spoiled with that. And then you have Max Johnson and Nussmeier, who also were making pretty big throws. And I didn't see that from Jaden Daniels. I can't specifically remember, and maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I am. I don't remember big, huge throws from Jaden Daniels where it was like a more than 10 yards or 15 yards, whatever. So I can hope that he gets better at that. I can hope our offensive line sees what they did wrong, capitalize, um, and protect their quarterback. I can hope our secondary and defense can stop the short pass and stop the run. That's what you could hope for, right? Because you have dumb LSU fans, and this is where I'm gonna get a little frustrated, who say, you know what? I just drank a bunch of beer. I'm a dumb LSU fan. I'm gonna send players death threats or hate and tell them how bad they are because my name is Billy and I make $45,000 a fucking year. All right, so shut up, Billy. All right, because no one cares about your opinion, buddy. Um, the players want motivation. They don't want hate. And that's why I get so frustrated. How can you call yourself an LSU fan when you're hating on your own damn team? That just makes absolutely no sense to me. It blows me out the water. It does. It makes no sense. I mean, come on. We're better than that. Um, I mean, we're not Auburn fans, right? I mean, come on. So have to motivate your team, and it starts this week. Whether you, in my opinion, whether you're on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, um, you have to put some words of encouragement into your football team and say, you know what, we are 0-0 this week. We were 0-1 yesterday. Now we're 0-0. Saturday after we beat Southern, we're 1-0, and then the next day we're 0-0 again. And you have to think of it like that, and you have to be patient. LSU fans are the most least patient people I know. And you know how I know that? Because that used to be me. I used to want a national championship every year. And this is not an Alabama Crimson Tide program yet. I'm going to say yet because LSU is going to be something great one day. And we are a good program. LSU, I'm not saying LSU is not a great program already, but we're not on par as far as Alabama football. We will get there, but we're not close to them yet. We don't touch the surface as far as that. So you can't expect a 2019 year every single year. You're gonna have losing seasons sometimes. As much as I don't want that, and I know other people don't want that, it happens. So it's dumb to hate on your team because what the hell are you gonna do? You're gonna watch football next week and the next week and the next week, and in 6 months from now or however far the end of the season is, you're gonna be wishing for LSU football again. It doesn't matter if we went 6-7. You're gonna be like, you know what I miss? LSU football. I can't wait for LSU football to come back. So you can't be down on your team and love football and love LSU football. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So we have to be more encouraging to our football players. As much as people don't think, fans can affect games, and emotions towards players. If your fan base is down on you, you might not be as willing to make better plays, and that's gonna drain you emotionally, and you're not gonna feel as emotionally there to win games if your fans are dogging on you. And it's something we need to change, and hopefully we do. I have been browsing Twitter, and I saw a lot of comments on like how bad LSU fans are. It's true. It is. One year we have a 15-0 record, and then we just feel like we deserve it every year, and that's just ridiculous and too high of expectations. So yeah. So hopefully we can straighten that out. That really just pisses me off. I mean, I couldn't believe seeing not only the hate that made me mad, but the death threats, like death threats. You know what? Because you didn't catch a pass, I'm gonna send you a death threat. Because I just you're really gonna go kill someone because they didn't catch a pass or whatever. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous, and there's no room for that. Um, take it as a positive. Take it as a positive. That LSU team made that many mistakes and still almost beat Florida State. We only lost by 1 point. We still almost beat Florida State by making tremendous mistakes. Not that Florida State didn't make any mistakes themselves, but they didn't make as much. All right, we fairly stopped them on a lot of stuff, a lot of drives. So we're a new team coming in. We have to develop. Um, it's like a puppy. When you train a puppy, you have to potty train them, kennel train them, um, leash train them, etc. And then they become a big dog and that are trained and know what to do, right? So that's what our football team is right now. We're starting from here. We're gonna get here one day. It takes time. It takes time and patience, which a lot of LSU fans do not have. So just be calm, be patient. This is not the end of the world. This is one game. Hopefully, this is not a repeat of last year when we went on a losing season, right? Because if you have that idea in your head that okay, this is going to be a repeat of last year, then we're doomed to fail. You have to give your team encouragement. We have to encourage the players and be high on them. I think when we get some of our players back, we get Alec Gay back. He was a huge defender. I mean, he could have stopped potential touchdowns later in the game. He could have been there. So we're gonna get him back for the Southern game. Hopefully, he stays healthy for the going into the Mississippi State game. Then in the Mississippi State game, you get John Emery, which is a huge factor. Um, we haven't seen him play for a year. I mean, he was out last year, out 2 games this year. He's gonna be out 2 games this year. So we'll see what he has to bring to the team. I'm excited for that. You just gotta have faith because this team can do a 180 and start winning football games. It just takes one good game to get on track, but you can't let the bad game bring you down. Um, and I love LSU football too much to let other people try to bring me down and try to bring the team down because just don't watch football. If you care for a game that much, that you're willing to send people death threats or hate, don't watch the game because you're not a fan. You're not a real fan in the end. So, I love this. I love LSU, the program, the football program. Um, and I'm so excited. Still, even after a loss, in a disappointing game, I am still tremendously excited to see what the rest of the season has to come. Eh, It could be two things. We can win a bunch of games. You know, you have teams like Alabama that we're most likely going to lose to. It'd take a miracle to win. Um, we can either have a winning season or we can have a losing season, and you just have to hope for the best and capitalize on the mistakes. Because with all the mistakes LSU made and almost came back, that should give you a little bit a taste of hope, um, for what's to come. Um, we just have to be confident. Our players have to be confident and ready. And I think that's why a lot of these players are deleting their Instagrams or deleting everything on their social media so that they can get a refresh, mentally be prepared for what's to come. And that's what that is. No one's leaving. No one's transferring as of yet. Be calm, be patient. There was a lot of talk about, oh, Boutte might be leaving. Was at film study today. I think he's ready to bust his ass and win some football games. I think Malik Neighbors, I think Jane Daniels, etc., are ready to win some football games. Think you think that LSU team does not want to win football games, then you're just stupid. They are ready to win some football games, and they're going to win some football games, some good football games. So get ready for that. That's my spiel for today. I'm gonna go back, watch the game over, watch some highlights. I hope I remember to touch on everything. Um, I have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tyler Danton on all of those. Where I kind of talk about. So if I forget something, I'll probably put something on Twitter if I forgot it. But I'll have a little bit of analysis. Um, Thursday, I think I'm gonna post Thursday. Most likely either Wednesday or Thursday, but I think I'm gonna go for Thursday. Um, Kind of going back and talking a little bit about the Florida State game, touching on a little bit that last time, and then after that, it's no more Florida State to me. I will. Besides, as far as record, I don't think I'll ever mention Florida State that much ever again. I mean, it's just in the past. It's yesterday. Now you got to go to tomorrow. Um, so I'll kind of talk about Southern. It'll probably be a short podcast. Um, Only because there's not much to talk about with Southern. I'll probably touch on a little bit of Mississippi State. Watch that game. Mississippi State game Saturday. Let's see who they play. Who does Mississippi State play Saturday? I forget. So they play Arizona. So it's Arizona. Better than probably Memphis, but well, I'll watch that game and hopefully Sunday I'm talking to you about an LSU win. Think I will be. It's Southern. Um, but as an LSU fan, stay hopeful, stay patient, be ready. There is so much football to come. I'm excited. Be excited and go Tigers.